What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Magical Bro Transformation Podcast, episode 12, I'm hoping. Otherwise, I have to re-record this intro. Joining me today are the usual guys, Mike and Juan.
Hello.
And our special guest, Danny.
It's Danny.
Everybody clap for Danny.
Hey, guys.
Woo! Danny.
Butt cheeks clapping.
Now, ladies.
Butt cheeks clapping.
Contain your orgasms.
Oh, yeah. It'll be hard. But speaking of hard, the concept of this podcast is not. It's just a thing that we do every 2 weeks, with some fillers in between or whenever we want to, where we just watch an anime, review it, talk about it, most likely spoil it, and then move on to the next anime. With this week's anime being Pandora Hearts. But before we get into that, how have you guys been?
Good.
Same old.
Yeah, I was in Fort Worth.
Huh?
Danny works a lot.
Yeah, he says that, but I don't know if I could believe him or not.
I am literally going bananas here.
You're fucking Donkey Kong right now. Have you been keeping up with anything?
I've been keeping up with this podcast.
And
It's the only thing he looks forward to.
It's the only thing he looks forward to until we talk about him photosynthesizing on anime, and then he's just like, "Why the fuck did you guys say that?"
You guys are mean.
Now everybody's gonna think he's a fucking nerd.
How does that make me look when you nerds are making me look like a nerd? God damn it. They're like, oh man, these guys are like, oh, we're bad, but Danny.
Well,
But
you
Danny-
are. You fucking like. I stand by the fact that you don't watch anime. You consume it. Like you absorb it into your being.
Into
and
my
then-
being.
Yeah, and then that's it. Like
And what?
I don't know. That you just absorb it and then that's it. Like,
That's it. Nothing comes out. It just
Nothing
stays.
comes out. It only goes in.
You
man.
you're just a parasite. You're a parasite with anime. It all goes in. Nothing comes out. It's all give
I'll
notes.
tell you what.
Uh,
I'll tell you what, though.
What?
I did not absorb this one.
All right, that is true. But I'm so disappointed in you because I asked you to I asked you if you wanted to watch it, and you were like, yeah. And then you told me, oh shit, it's fucking 25 episodes, and I was like, yeah. And when that happened, I told myself, well, I guess Danny's probably not gonna watch it. And then the next day, I asked if you watched any episodes, and you were like, yeah, I'm already on episode 14 or 15, and I was like, holy shit, Danny's already passed me, and I barely started watching this.
Look, man, I had like a whole
I-
day of nothing to do. I was like, what am I going to do? Could I play Zelda? I was like, no, I really want to, get in this podcast. So I was like, all right, I'll watch this.
My hopes are so high. I thought you were gonna watch this anime mostly because we never found the person who put this on the list. I'm just gonna assume that it was me.
It was you or Brian.
It was somebody, but nobody came out and said I did it. I put
Nobody
this
wanted
on
to
there.
admit to it.
Well, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, if I had put it on there and my memory wasn't as bad as it was, and I was the one that did it, I'd have been like, yeah, I did it or something. But I know it wasn't me because I've never seen this prior.
I've never heard of this.
I've never heard of this anime before.
I had like a want to watch thing on it, which is why I'm assuming I was maybe part of it. But I didn't even remember this thing existed.
I think I might have actually put it on there because I remember I went into your list one day and I was looking at I think I imported all the want to watch onto the list of shows to put on the podcast.
I guess that's why 1 + 1 = Paradise is on there.
Yes, I think that's what happened because I didn't know what I was doing on the list and I was like, how the fuck do I do this? And so I ended up just putting everything on there and then it was like, there's 80 duplicates. Is that okay? And I was like, I guess. And so, yeah, that's why the list is a tad messed up.
Just a little bit. But I guess let's just get into it. So this anime came out in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, am I disappointed that I couldn't find a 720p version. Only because
480p everywhere.
Only because the first episode is pretty hard to watch. And there was only
Yeah.
like one other episode that was like that during the whole series. But I assumed that every single episode was gonna look like the first episode, which looked like fucking trash.
Yeah.
Not style wise, just the video quality,
quality.
was so bad that I was like, man, is this really what 480p was like? Because I remember it being a lot better than this. I still watch
It's weird
videos
when
in
you look at
480p
it
on my
like
phone.
that. Yeah, it's weird when you see it like that because you're like 480p is like what most TVs were at. So it's like you consider that and you're like, this is how it was supposed to look on a TV. But then seeing it on your monitor, you're like, how the fuck is this? Like, this is terrible. How the fuck did I get by?
Yeah.
So like going into this, like on the first episode, dude, I had like no idea what this is about. And you know how like on the opening, like there's at least some elements of like the show are like shown to you, and you're like, oh, okay, this is this kind of guy thing, you know?
Yeah.
But like I had just bought this phone, and I was so distracted with it that like when the opening started, I was just like, oh, cool, my phone. I just started looking at it, and I just was hearing the music. I was like, this song's cool, but I didn't even look at the screen. So like
You just heard
I
the
was like,
music.
oh shit, the show's I was like, the show's starting. Okay, let's watch it. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So like I was completely blind to what the hell was happening.
For me, I was in a rush to finish the show, or like to start on it rather. And so I went onto Crunchyroll, and I was like, okay. And I don't know why I chose the episode I did, but it was not the first. And I remember Nooney had said to me that like the plot doesn't actually pick up until like episode 2, 3, so between like 2 and 4. So I was like, you know what, I'll start on 3. And I thought I started on 3, and as it turns out, I clicked episode 15. And I'm looking at what's happening, and like all of these characters are there, and they're talking about like the Incas and like Alice's world falling apart, and like the entire sky is starting to break like glass, and everything's shattering, and there's some girl wrapped up in chains, and I'm like, what the fuck did I miss in the first 2 episodes?
Like, damn, this one hell of a third episode.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then like halfway through I realized that I'm watching episode 15. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
That's-
so
That's why I
Yeah.
couldn't understand anything.
and like I didn't put one and one together until the episode was over. And so I was like, oh, I started on the wrong episode. And so then I began on the right path, and I was like, okay, this makes significantly more sense now.
And like I said earlier, I'm sure I said it in some other podcast, but I like having no idea what I'm starting to watch. That way, whenever like the basic premise is presented to me, I could be like, oh, that's cool. I didn't expect that. Like when going into this, I didn't expect any Alice in Wonderland references at all. But
Yeah.
Gabriel had told me, "Oh yeah, you should watch that. It's Alice in Wonderland." And I was like, "Oh well, there goes that." I didn't expect that, and I was slightly disappointed that I already knew going in here.
I had no idea. Like, I honestly thought Pandora Hearts was gonna be about like some like I thought it was gonna be like just like a regular romance anime or some shit like that,
It
or like
looked- yeah,
or like a
shit.
harem anime or something like that. I thought it was gonna be something like that, something shitty.
Something
so-
something a little gayish, and I mean it was,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and it was pretty fucking gay, but yeah.
but it
There's
wasn't
so
as
much
gay as you expected it to be.
Yeah,
Oh,
it wasn't
okay.
as gay as I expected it to be, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be whatsoever. Because
No, not
again,
one bit.
I had no idea what the show was about going in. I didn't look at the OP because I skipped it the first time, and then I started on episode 15, so I wasn't off to a good start here. and yeah, so I was pretty disoriented, figuring out what the fuck was happening, and so. My experience was slightly different in that I was learning everything backwards. Like I had seen, like I guess this was like the main spoiler episode or some shit, and so like I had to be like, how the fuck did they get here? And so slowly, like from the episodes I'd seen, like that's how I got to it. I was like, oh okay, all of this makes more sense now.
Yeah. I have the synopsis in front of me, and I don't feel like reading it because it's almost a page of text.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's enormous.
I mean, we could summarize the story a lot better than a page of stuff
this
like
gigantic
that.
page of
Convoluted
text.
as fuck.
I mean, the story is convoluted, but like the general idea is pretty simplistic. It's like, I mean,
Trying to get your memories back.
Huh.
The
that
entire
picture does make
show-
it look gay.
Oh, have you never
I
seen that
told you,
picture?
dude.
No.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah, like when. Oh man.
Like the entire story revolves around a bunch of characters that either lost their memory or just tossed them aside, and then the story is just about them trying to get them back.
yeah. And the way it starts off is it introduces two of the, I mean, it introduces the main character, and it introduces his butt buddy and his sister, and they're just playing around being little kids, and you're like, oh well, this isn't interesting at all. They're just running around being little kids. But the like first frame that you get, I guess, so you can like actually want to watch it, is a bunch of guys in hoods holding the main character and telling him your existence is your sin, and putting their hand on him, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? And then it cuts to this, and you're like, man, this anime I kind of don't want to watch. I don't want to watch a bunch of little kids being happy. I want to watch what was happening to that kid in the beginning.
Honestly, what hooked me was that whole fucking yandere girl or whatever, like fucking strangling the shit out of him when it's like dream.
No, what got me was the whole the first, like, I think it was the end of episode 3 when with the like while they're in the other world and stuff, and then he does the contract and everything like that. I thought that was, I don't know, I was like, this is cool.
I thought you were gonna say it was the budding relationship between the OTP that is Oz,
between the main character and his attendant butler,
his
lover,
buddy,
his centuries-old lover,
the best couple in the anime. But yeah, it starts off with them, with the three, those three kids just playing around, and for some reason, they decided to cover these stairs with just a bunch of rocks, or stones on the floor with no support at all. So they, like, the main character's name is Oz. Oz runs towards a certain direction, and then he falls inside of this pit, and his butt buddy Gil is behind him, his servant. He's like, I'll explain it later. He's his butt buddy, and he follows Oz, and they both fall inside this gigantic pit, and they're like, "Oh,
how is it like grass and shit down there?" Like,
no, we don't ask those
There's
questions.
it was like a beautiful,
Anime.
it was like a beautiful meadow down there. And how the fuck did that? There's no sunlight down
Anime.
here.
There was a gigantic tree underneath all that, and it
Even
didn't
then,
even
that's
peek
more
out.
believable. Yeah, okay, it didn't peek out.
it didn't
I wondered
peek
about
out.
that. I was like, maybe it peeked out from the top,
No.
but if it doesn't, then no, that don't make no sense at all.
Nothing.
I
It's
don't
anime,
understand.
Mike. It's anime. It's okay.
It's Alice in Wonderland.
Dude,
Alice
it's
in
full of
Wonderland.
whimsy and wonder. Like, I wonder how that's possible.
I wonder how the fuck any of this is happening.
But that's besides the point. So these two kids fall down. They stumble onto this grave, and they grab a watch that's hanging on, this cross in front of this tree. And you're like, that's cool. There's a cross down here, and everything's beautiful. And then he opens the watch, and it plays a little tune, which actually I enjoyed the jingle. I was like, hey, I wonder what this is from, because I like it. And it, for some reason, that like stirs up some memories inside of Oz, the main character, and somehow he gets transported into this other world where he finds a girl wearing nothing but white, and she's like, or he gets transported to this world, and there are a bunch of dolls everywhere, and they're just like, he's back, he's finally back, yay, blah, 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 blah. And they all look creepy and shit, as dolls do. And then this little girl shows up, and she's like, you're here, you're finally here. And he's like, oh, hey. And then she's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And he's like, what? And then she grabs him by the neck and starts strangling him and says, I'm gonna kill you, until he is somehow pulled out of this world, but never actually left that world. The world that he was pulled into by Gil, his butt buddy. And he was like, hey, you okay? And I was like, yeah, I gotta ask our uncle Oscar about this watch. And he takes the watch with him. And then, stuff happens.
And proceeds to not ask
about it. Because he's busy trying to get ready for his quinceañera.
Yeah, his quinceañera.
yeah,
Yes,
It was his
Dude,
quinceañera.
it's his quinceañera. He's turning 15. He's finally it's his coming of age
It's
party.
coming of age ceremony.
Yeah.
It was his quinceañera.
And he has to put on his
Quinceañera.
beautiful dress, and he wants Gil to be his man of honor, and bestow upon him
His chamberlain.
his he
Chambelán.
wants him to be his chamberlain, and bestow upon him his his manhood. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And so they start getting ready. Oz starts heading towards the place where he's gonna have his quinceañera, and then these cloaked figures are hanging around Gil, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna take over your body," and he's like, "Oh no!" And they start taking over his body and control him. So they get to the quinceañera. He's doing his little thing, and he says the ceremonious thing that he's supposed to say. And then I don't remember exactly what happens, but I think Gil shows up and he stabs him with the knife in the arm.
Yeah, he like grabs him and he's like,
And
"What are you
he's
doing,
like-
Gil?"
He comes up behind him, he grabs
Yeah, he
him.
comes up behind him, grabs him. He teleports behind him, and then he
Grabs
stabs
him and he stabs him. And he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then he brings him like back. And then all the cloaked figures show up. And to make a short story even shorter, he gets thrown into something called the Abyss, which is the Abyss.
It's
And
yeah, it's like this otherworldly place. There's like water all over, murky water all over the ground. The sky is like purple and black, and it looks all weird. And there's like random floating items everywhere, like shit that's like a music box, a dollhouse.
Pretty much like a little girl.
It's like a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
girl's room that like exploded and it's just flying around everywhere. That's pretty much what it is.
yeah, and a small thing that I skipped was sometime before his quinceañera and before him getting stabbed, he meets the daughter of a dukedom. Her name is, what's her name? Sharon? Yeah, her name is Sharon
Sharon,
Rainsworth. And she's the daughter of, one of these aristocrat people that are like one of the 4 mighty rich people that are rich. And, she meets her. Anyway, we're back here, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And what was the first thing that shows up? Was it that doll with like spider legs?
You mean in the abyss?
No,
Yeah.
at first it's like just a tiny doll.
No,
That's
the
like
very
fucking
beginning
him.
is like just attacking him, and it's just like, "I'm gonna eat you," but it doesn't actually have the power to do anything. And so eventually he just kind of swats it away, and it leaves him alone.
I remember that. And then it gets to a point where it starts throwing rocks. And
Yeah, it starts throwing rocks at him, and then he's like, "Oh fuck!" And so he gets an umbrella, and then he pulls the umbrella down, and the thing's like, "Oh, I got this boulder," and he's like, "Oh shit!" And then the boulder just crashes down on the doll, and then the doll falls over, and then it tries to stab him, but it misses the shot, and he knocks it away, and then it kind of just it runs away, and he's like, "Well, why'd it run away?" And then this giant fucking monster that resembles Jack from fucking what's the name of that
Nightmare
movie?
Before Christmas?
Nightmare
Yes,
Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Look just like him. It starts attacking him, and it's like, "Well, I'm gonna fucking eat you because I'm really big," and
And that's more believable.
it's more believable because you can see that eating him. And so it goes and attacks him, and he's just running for his life. And then we see the second main character show up. It's Alice.
yeah, she shows up and she's like, why is this thing fucking trying to eat you? It's a little weak piece of shit.
Wait, what were you saying, Dan?
She was initially introduced before all that
Well, yeah, she wasn't introduced because she was there at the
ceremony.
ceremony, yes, and she thwarted their plans
Kill him.
to kill him. I mean, she
Well,
didn't really thwart because he
no.
ended up in the abyss.
The original plan was to throw him in the other abyss, and that so happened.
Oh yeah, like at first it seems like she was gonna save him or something, and she's like, "No, actually, I'm okay with this. Like, just throw him in the
Yeah,
abyss
just
with
throw
me.
him in
That's
the
cool."
abyss. It'll be fine.
And so he goes, and so she goes, and then he's like, "Thanks for saving me, I guess." And yeah, then they introduce each other, and then instead of questioning as to what's happening and why he's
Like,
there and whether he
what
can
the
get
fuck
out,
is
he's
the
like,
abyss?
"I'm fucking hungry," and then he pulls a
He's-
jar of cookies out from the sky, and he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna eat these."
I'm gonna eat these cookies because I'm adorable.
I'm really hungry and sugoi.
It's
And
sugoi.
and so he's just eating, and she kind of vaguely explains like the hierarchy of the of what are called chains, which are
Creatures
like
inside this
the
abyss.
abyss. Yes, they're creatures of the abyss, and they have like a hierarchy that's never really mentioned again in the anime.
Not really. They just mentioned that there are low-level creatures like the ones that was running away with, and then there are ones like her, who are like, not
The
low-level
highest,
creatures.
the highest tier that can shapeshift and shit. And yeah, so she's like, all right, we got to get out together. She's like, you just have to make a contract with me.
And
And
he's like,
he
what
kind
do I
of,
have to do?
Yeah.
And she's like, just say you'll make a contract and say my name out loud, baby. And he's like, I feel dirty saying that. And then
And
another
then
another fucking
yes.
chain attacks.
He's teleported away by a girl who was it, Sharon?
Yeah, who looks like Sharon.
It looks just like Sharon. It's this girl, and she's like, "Oh, we gotta get the fuck out of here." And he's like, "What are you doing in here, Sharon?"
How the fuck did
and
you
she's
get
like,
in here?
"Nah, don't." She's like, "Nah, don't ask questions. Just keep
Like,
following me."
yeah,
And
like
he's like, "Okay."
every question he asks her, she just never answers, and she's like, "Are you okay? Let's get
She's
going."
like, "Oh, you silly boy, let's keep walking." And he's like, "All right." And then at one point, the thing fucks up because it calls Alice by her name, and like she had just got done explaining that nobody calls her Alice.
Yeah.
Everybody calls her Bee Rabbit or Black Rabbit. And so he's like, well, how do you know her name is Alice? And then the thing's like, the jig's up. And then it turns into like this cute girl turns into this horrific baby monster. And I forgot the name of the actual chain, but it was something baby. Mad Baby, I think.
Big baby.
No, I think it was Mad Baby. And it's basically this giant baby head with spider legs. And
Toy Story.
Toy
It looks exactly like that
Yes.
Toy Story thing.
Yes, think Toy Story. And yeah, it's like, well, I'm gonna eat you. And so, because everything wanted to fucking eat him. And so he's like, well, gotta run again. And then it pretty much corners him, and he's like, well, that's it, I guess. So Alice comes and saves him again. And tries to save him. She fucks up, and she's like, well, if we'd made a contract, this wouldn't be a problem. And, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And, well, she ends up getting swallowed by the baby.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, just run because you're a fucking coward.
And then he's like, I'm not a baby.
I'm not a coward.
And
so he picks up a stick.
He picks up a stick. And boy, does he swing that stick as hard as he can.
I'm surprised he actually pierced something on that thing's body with the stick, because usually a stick doesn't do anything.
No, that a stick is a base level item. That's a special stick right there.
That's
like
a +5 stick.
That's a late level stick.
And so yeah, he pokes it and irritates it enough to open its mouth, and he's like, I'm gonna jump right in.
And he jumps in, and wouldn't you know it, he reaches Alice, and then he's like, I want to make a contract with you. And she's like, cool. And then he's like, Alice. And then she gets super strong and turns into...
And she kisses him.
She turned... Well, I thought this happened after they like blew out of her stomach. No,
well, what happens is he's like, I'm forming a contract. And she's like, that's not how you say it. And then the thing, like, they fucking burst from its stomach with like this giant purple ray of light. And then she's like, all right, cool. And she's like, yeah, you didn't say it correctly, but I guess. And so she kisses him, and then she enters his body in a non-sexual way. And
no, in the most sexual way.
And so after that, it shows Oz being possessed by Alice, holding her weapon. And her weapon is a giant scythe, because Alice's true form is a giant black rabbit with like a vest and a bow tie and everything. And
basically wearing the same outfit she is.
Yeah, it's basically wearing the same outfit that she's wearing in the show. But yeah, like, it's weird because I don't really remember him using that anymore later, where he's holding the scythe himself.
No, because I'll explain that to you later. Because since you started in episode 3, so it was explained that chains can exist in the real world for longer than a certain amount of time without having some kind of body, which is why Alice was like, "Hey, give me your body," and this guy was now being like, "Okay." She's like, "Okay, now I could get out of this world and not have this kid's body," and they escape. They escape the abyss. Woo! They did it. They advanced the plot, and they show up, and you see, Sharon, the little girl that he had met earlier, and her butler, you assume at this point, and they're inside the castle, and they're like, "Oh, look, you managed to get out of here all by yourself. Goody goody." And I think at this point, Oz was himself again, and he wasn't under control by her at this point. And he was like, "Yeah, I just made a contract and I got out of there." And they were like, "Well, we're going to have to put you to arrest." And Oz was like, "What? Why?" Then Alice comes out and she's like, "You're not arresting anybody. I'll fight you." And
With a knife.
With a knife. And she grabs Sharon and takes her hostage and starts walking towards the door. But it turns out that that's exactly what they wanted her to do, because wanted him to do. Because they had previously made a, what's that thing called? When it's a circle?
Seal.
A magical seal at the door, which trapped B-Rabbit and Oz in it. And it gave this guy that's introduced now, who has cool black hair and is chuny as fuck, the power to separate Oz and Alice. And he just starts wailing on Alice because he's like, "Man, fuck you, Bunny Rabbit, you're a piece of shit." And Oz is like, "Don't you hurt her, stop hurting her." And he's like, "Why?" And then Oz is like, "I don't know, just stop hurting her."
Just stop what you're doing.
Just stop hurting her.
I
So
don't condone to violence.
not the children, not the babies. And then you find out that this was just an elaborate ploy to try and get Bunny Rabbit to come out so this guy could separate them. And they just want to use Alice and Oz in order to conduct some missions for them. And the way that they entice Alice is that they tell her that there may be some, hidden mysteries that she can find out by going to defeat these chains that are set loose in the world. And she's like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." And then that's when Mike started, I think.
What?
During their first mission.
No, I started when he was in the abyss.
Man, he was in there for a long time. If that
He
was
was only in there for
episode 3.
It was episode 3, because episode 3 is him literally waking up in the abyss, and he's like, "What the fuck's happening?" And I was like, "I don't know, dude. What is happening?" And so yeah, he's just having flashbacks to him seeing Alice, and then the choking scene, and I was like, "I don't know what the fuck is happening," but I'm less confused than I was starting on 15.
But I will say,
yeah,
this plot took a while to start. It took a little bit to get the ball rolling.
like
which is
I
why
understand
I told
they
you guys.
needed to get all the different pieces and be like, "All right, we got here, we got to get everything set up before we can move." But
I disagree.
it-
No, they didn't have to do any of that because dude, they used the same flashback so many times.
they did. They did use the flashbacks
in the
over
beginning, and then near the end, it's like they were just trying to fill the time.
Like the thing that
Flashbacks were strong in this anime.
yeah,
Dude,
it
they were
really
they were
did.
like they were
gags,
Naruto
dude.
level of.
So were the
fucking
what?
The
flashbacks.
gag moments in this anime.
The gags were constant, but they did get a chuckle out of me every now and then.
There was a point in episode 8 where I laughed out loud, but we'll get
I heard
there.
you. I remember
It
that.
was fucking
Okay.
stupid, and I felt retarded. I felt like an idiot when I did it, and I was like, "Oh man, I hope Mike didn't hear that," but I'm sure he did because I heard
I did.
myself.
Because I was over here and I was like, I wonder what he's laughing at.
Oh, you must be watching episode 8.
He must be, obviously. So they go on this first mission, and it's basically to go back to where everything started, to where Oz got thrown into the abyss, and it is Alice, Oz, and this guy, this chuny man, who you now learn his name is Raven. And it's these three going in there, and when they reach the place, Raven tells them, "Hey, wait out here. I'm gonna go inside to conduct some official Pandora business." Which Pandora is the organization that Sharon, Raven, and Xerxes work for. Xerxes being the butler of Sharon. Xerxes Breku. But he goes in and meets up with this guy, and he's like, "So what's going on?" And this guy's like, "Oh, stuff." And then it gets to a point where he starts moving weird, and you see strings covering like these Pandora agents, and he's like, "Oh no, stuff is happening. I don't like stuff." And he gets his gun out and shoots everybody. And
wait. This is Raven at the time. It's not Xerxes.
Yeah. Well, that's that. What I said was that Sharon, Raven, and Xerxes work for Pandora.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that like Xerxes walked into the room or whatever. No, yeah,
okay,
they're.
So you see strings saying it must be the work of an enemy chain.
This must be the work of an enemy chain.
Okay, to add context to that joke, what happened was I hadn't started on the show just yet, and Noonie had already begun. So I get home one day, and we have some friends over, and they're watching one of the random episodes. I think it was like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
And I sit down, and then one of the characters has chains. Now chains, like they're the bad things, the creatures of the abyss. You can form a contract with them, and depending on the type of contract you have with them, you can summon them at will. So I see this dude, and his is Xerxes is fucking called Mad Hatter. And like out of nowhere, like this giant Reaper looking thing appears before him. And like my first question was like, is this a fucking stand or something?
To which I replied, yes.
Yes. He said yes. And then the other guy was like, no, they're chains. It's different. And then as the show began and I started watching it, I was like, these are stands.
These are stands.
This is no different. And so, yes.
So this was the work of an enemy chain.
This was the work of an enemy chain.
And so that gunshot fires. But during this whole little confrontation, Oz is explaining to Alice how much he loved Gilbert and how Gilbert was his best friend and he was like his only reason to live and he was the greatest person in the world and this and that and he wants to stick it up his butt. But
buddy stuff.
But then he hears this gunshot and they run over there. And as soon as Oz gets to the door, he hears, plot, and it's revealed that this guy named Raven is actually Gil/Gilbert from Oz's past, and 10 years have actually passed since Oz had returned, because time in the abyss is not the same as time in the real world. So 10 years have passed since, his quinceañera.
It's convoluted.
It's convoluted. Nah, it's fine.
I mean, well, when he came back from the world and how they talked about everything, I had kind of assumed like, yeah, there is a time skip or some shit happened.
Yeah. Around this, like when he had come back, my assumption was that either Oz or Gil had used a chain to try and change something, and that's why everybody was after Oz. But then I was like, well, then this guy looks like an older version of Gil, but they're calling him Raven, so it has to be somebody else. But no.
And the other two seem, seemingly unaged.
Yeah, they both seem seemingly unaged.
Yeah.
So, when you come back, you're like, well, this is obviously not Gil because this guy's old as fuck, and these two guys look exactly the same. But that's when you find out that people that make contracts with chains, depending on the way that it's made, I think, don't age after a certain point, so they just look young forever. I mean, they continue to age. They're not immortal, but they look young. So
yeah, like they're dying on the inside, as we put it.
Yeah, emotionally,
and
the poor things. And so plot happens, and you're like, oh shit! It's 10 years later. This is Gil. What the fuck? Why didn't he tell Oz? And apparently he didn't tell Oz, so he didn't want Oz to see how he turned out to be and how he has killed people and he's done this and he's such a bad person or whatever. But that's later on. Right now, B Rabbit or Alice and Oz show up, and this person, what was it?
Wait, you can't remember what again?
What the person doing the puppeteering was?
I don't remember their name.
There was some bitch with that one family.
Yeah, they were from the
Zergs?
Hufflepuffs or the they're from Slytherin or Ravenclaw.
From Baskerville?
Yes, they were from
Baskerville.
Baskerville. She was a part of Baskerville.
From Baskin
And
Robbins.
more plot happens because Oz walks in and she doesn't like try to kill Oz or Alice because she's like, well, I can't really hurt either of you because bad things will happen. So I'm just gonna keep you away.
No, wait, doesn't he try to get Raven to kill him or something?
Yeah, they try to
Oh,
get
yeah, that's
Raven
right.
to kill him, but then like the dude grabs Raven's gun and he's like, just fucking shoot me in the head right now, dude.
Do it, pussy.
Yeah, he's like, fucking
But-
do it, you won't, and then he doesn't.
So then she was trying to kill them then.
Well, yeah, I
Because
guess.
she took control of Raven and told Raven to kill Oz, and Oz was like, do it, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, their main goal was that they just wanted to throw him back into the abyss.
Yeah.
I guess like it was like either kill him or just throw him back in there somehow.
So what ends up happening is, so I'm just gonna assume that instead of Gil having the mental force to move the gun and turn it a different way, what Oz actually did when he was putting the gun to his forehead was slowly turning his hand and aiming it towards that bitch and helping Gil pull the trigger. That's just what I'm gonna assume happened. Because
Smart
No.
enough to do that.
what?
Wait, what?
Your mic sucks.
I'm sorry. Wait, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what did Danny
What
say?
should we do?
I said, yeah, Oz seems smart enough to do that.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't, not one bit. But, that's what I like to think that he did. Because, stuff. So, they defeat the thing. And then eventually they get to, I forget if it's right there no. It's the watch activates or something at that point, or a little bit before that. The watch
When?
that Oz was carrying.
It activates when they're on the bridge, I believe.
Bridge.
Yeah, they're going to go visit that grave that they.
That's
fell
right. Yes,
into.
they were going back to go visit the grave, and they're crossing a bridge, and then all of a sudden, the bridge, like they start seeing like sakura flowers.
Yeah, then
And
those sakura
then-
flower. Were they sakura flowers from the tree that was underground? That is probably not underground anymore because it's not underground.
They
anymore.
unearthed it. I don't
Yeah.
know, actually. I just knew they started flying in, and I was like, I didn't even see any cherry blossoms
Dude,
here.
they were just cherry blossoms flying in from
I
nowhere.
was like, I don't know where any
I
of this
thought
shit
we
is
were in Europe and there are cherry blossoms flying in.
That's what
and
it
shit.
feels like. They're in Europe, and then all of a sudden we see fucking cherry blossom flying in. I was like, where the fuck is this coming
The
from?
artists are just like, yeah, this would add a nice.
They're
touch.
like, oh yes, this will look so beautiful and artistic. Do you understand the
Do
symbolism?
you understand the symbol? Dude,
Toyota-san
understand
and-
the frailness of life with the frail cherry blossoms.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Anyway, Alice looks up and she's like, I can't believe you waited here for so long and blah 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 blah. And you get a little more insight on her past, and you see this older guy, and he's blonde and he has a ponytail, and you're like, is he Oz? Because he's blonde and Oz is blonde, and he's with Alice, and Alice has memories of Oz somehow on that song, and then he's about to turn all the way, but you never see him. But you see his mouth, and considering how generic most anime faces are, you just assume that it's Oz. But whatever.
Yeah.
It's never actually you never actually get told at that point. So you see that, and I'm sure something else that I'm probably glossing over that isn't super important in the end.
What?
But about her
Oh,
memory.
like during that scene?
Yeah.
Well,
But like I
yeah,
said,
it
it's
just
not
shows
important.
her. Yeah, it's not. I mean, there's really. I'm sure it meant something in like manga and stuff, but at this point in time, it really didn't matter for shit.
No. So she gets that part, like that little bit of her memory back, and they start heading back towards the little base where they're at, and then like after that, a lot of nothing happens. I think.
A lot of nothing
I
happened.
Yeah, a lot of nothing really
like
does
in
happen.
the grand scheme of everything, it's just like
Yeah,
a bunch of little things here and there. A character gets introduced, and I think
yeah.
I think
I mean, the show it's like branching out and like showcasing more characters, but they don't really do anything with them because it's like they only got 25 episodes.
like all the meanwhile it stays interesting while it's introducing this different people. Like the first different character that you get introduced to is a girl called Echo, which is your stereotypical like quiet, straight to business, special snowflake archetype that is under control by this guy that is taking advantage of her and doing like bad stuff because you got to portray him as a bad guy, otherwise people won't understand. And then that's when at this point that bad guy gets introduced, or who you assume is a bad guy, because the way that he gets introduced is he shoots a guy in the head instead of Raven, and it doesn't matter how they got there. Don't worry, it's just nothing.
It's an
no
anime.
reason.
Don't worry about it.
There's no. It was a mission that they got sent onto, but it was a mission for nothing. So they introduce this guy whose name is Vincent Nightray, who you find out later is the brother of Gilbert Nightray, and they get like you see him and you're like, well, this guy's obviously a bad guy, and truth be told, you don't really know if he is or not. It doesn't really get explained later.
Very chaotic neutral.
But right now, I'm just assuming he's a bad guy. And they ask if they could stay at his place and use his cottage because like people are hurt or whatever. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So like,
You're a bad guy, but we
you're
need
a bad
help.
guy, but we need help.
Would you
because you're
mind
my
if we
brother.
crashed over for a few days? Yeah, sure, why not?
And then like nothing keeps happening, and nothing happens until they get sent on another mission where I don't remember exactly where they go. Do you remember where they go to where the Cheshire Cat stuff happens?
Aren't they like in the middle of grocery shopping or some shit?
What?
Yeah, like they're getting stuff, and like I remember because Gil and the fuck's Oz, they run into the uncle and they're all
Oscar.
buddy and shit, and then Alice gets all fucking butthurt, because all the bros are hanging out, and she's like, "Fuck these guys," and she walks off on her own, and that's when the little cat gets her.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
All right, let's just assume that's what happens. Let's see.
That's like the most recent episode I've seen, pretty much.
All
So,
right.
yeah.
So that happens. Also, they have an uncle named Uncle Oscar who isn't really that important, but he's a cool
He's
guy,
like
He's a cool
he's the
guy.
father figure.
and he looks like
He looks like Hohenheim from
He looks like
Full Metal Alchemist.
Straight up,
Yeah.
dude.
He looks just like Hohenheim.
but it's okay because it's cool. But so like Danny says, Alice gets taken by this thing to another dimension. No, Alice and Xerxes, while going off in a little thing, get taken into another dimension by a cat. And Oz and Raven, who is now Gil again, are like, where did everybody go? Or, those two go. And they're like, hey, do you know where they went? They asked Sharon. And Sharon was like, yeah, I had my stand on them, but I lost them. But I can take you guys to where they were because my stand can do that. And you learn that she, her chain, which is essentially, it's a unicorn, she's not that great for fighting, but she can she can transport people between dimensions. Yeah.
Always I want to
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, that song pretty much describes her chain, except it's purple.
Actually, the heavy metal version describes it.
Dude,
There
I
you go.
fucking
Yeah,
love that
you're right.
version.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
exactly
that
what it
version.
is. But she ends up taking them over there, and that apparently all of this night Xerxes was actually supposed to get taken into there because it was everything that they do is pretty much planned, and they just need Alice or Oz in order to get taken to these things so people can react to the stuff that they're doing. So they get taken to this other dimension that isn't the abyss, but is like a world that was constructed by Alice. And you learn that it was constructed in order for her to forget her most painful memory. And it's guarded by a Cheshire cat.
Cheshire
cat.
Cheshire.
Yep.
And this cat only has one eye. And, Xerxes, and you don't know because I haven't explained it, but you find out that Xerxes actually only has one eye. His other eye is covered by his badass hair.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this hate towards his cat, and you're just like, man, why the fuck does he hate
fucking
this cat?
hates the cat, and I'm like initially seeing them fight, I was like, dude, why is he bullying this fucking cat so hard? Like, why is he so fucking mean to this cat? And then you find out.
And then you find out later on. But right now, you're just like, dude, why the fuck does he hate this cat? The cat doesn't deal with him initially because it turned for some reason Xerxes gets taken into a mirror that's on the wall that apparently is supposed to reflect his past to him and blah 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 blah. And Alice is lost. Then that's when Raven and Oz show up, and they're like, "All right, bitches, we're here to save the day." And yeah, stuff happens. Not that really that important until you see a multitude of plot just getting dumped on you, and you're just like, oh shit, a lot of stuff is happening.
It's because they remembered they had a story to tell.
They remembered they had a story to tell, and they were like, all right, so that guy Vincent, we're gonna show him in this fire surrounded by dead bodies and covered in blood, and he's just gonna jump into the fire, but he's not actually gonna burn in the fire. Gilbert, he's gonna be passed out on the floor, and nothing's gonna happen with that. Alice, we're gonna show her, and we're gonna show her getting fucking died, but we're not gonna show you who died her. We're just gonna show her dead on the floor, and we're gonna show some scissors, and we're also gonna show that earlier in the show, Vincent had those scissors, and she was cutting up Alice's stuffed dolls. So you would assume that he had killed her.
Yeah.
And, just a lot of stuff gets dumped on you. You find out that Alice was a human until she got killed, and then she got turned into a chain. How? I'll be honest, you never find out.
We don't really know.
It was
and they never tell you who killed her.
It was
Ah!
reaction.
We're just full of puns today.
Yeah.
Good one, Juan.
Yeah, you don't find out anything about that. There's a lot of questions.
You find out about that mysterious being that looks like Oz.
Yeah.
You do find Wait, is this where you find out?
Yeah, it's in the memory world. You finally find out.
Yeah, it is where you find out. So after getting shown all this shit, Oz and Gil still haven't found Alice until they get to a point where the mysterious blonde man with the ponytail shows up, and he's like, I'm not Oz. My name is what was it? Jack. Be nimble, Jack, be quick. His name is Jack Vesalius, the hero of time, Link. And he's like, all right, I have a little bit of power here. Why? Because anime. And I'm not real, but I am real, but I'm not. So I'll give you my little bit of power, and we're gonna take you to wherever Alice is. Just think really hard and say her name,
And
then
tap your heels together 3 times.
And then he's like, I feel dirty saying this, and then he starts saying Alice's name, and he doesn't really actually get there. He just gets to like I said earlier, to this image of where Vincent is surrounded by fire and dead people and covered in blood. And instead of like trying to look for Alice, he just starts chasing Vincent because he's like, I feel like I should be chasing this kid. And then he gets taken to Alice's room where he finds out that she's dead. And then he's like, where is Alice? I can't tell her this, blah, blah. I don't really remember what happened after that. But then eventually somehow Gilbert gets over there. And he's like, I need to save Oz. And I think around this point is where like Oz snaps, and somehow he has a power to destroy this world. Like
he starts like tearing it starts breaking apart, like the sky is cracking, and
somehow Oz has the power to destroy this world that was created by Alice, to where you're like, this guy is fucking crazy. And
he's doing this all while like not technically conscious.
No. And he's just he starts going into like this mumbling rage where he's like, I'm gonna make everything okay. I'm gonna kill whatever stands in Alice's way for her to be happy, blah blah. And then Gil slaps him, and he's like, stop being stupid.
That was fucking dumb because he looked like he was like in some deep trance, and I knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
But seeing it happen, I was like, that is so fucking dumb.
Yeah. So
snap out of it. Man.
Yeah, he's like, just snap out of it, dude. Just stop being in this deep trance.
Obvious solution to any one of those situations. Just slap the
shit out of him.
Guy. And it'll be okay. Don't worry. Whenever somebody's like trying to kill you and they're just mumbling a bunch of, just slap them. Just fucking slap them. They'll just snap out of it. Yeah. But then after he snaps out of it and he stops destroying Alice's world, for some reason this staircase appears in front of them, and Alice is at the top of the staircase. And Oz starts chasing after her, and he gets to the top, and he's like, I'll never leave you, Alice. I'm gonna help you.
What was weird is, like, if you noticed, she was, like, chained to, like, a giant stone. Yeah. Behind her was, like, a puppet of fucking Oz.
Yeah. That was a little odd.
Like I said, the show raises more questions than answers them. And it's just, like...
Slowly but surely it answers some questions, but there are a lot, like... By the end of it, there are a lot of questions to be had. And at this point, this is around like episode 17 or 18, I think.
Yeah.
And then more of nothing happens, I think.
Yeah.
Basically. Like little smidgens of stuff here and there happen. Like you learn about Xerxes' past. You never hear anything about Sharon. Like, she's just a mystery all in of herself. But they but you do find out that she had a kid, or at least it's assumed that she had a kid, because Sharon and Xerxes, in one of Xerxes' like past memories that he had inside the mirror, were laying under a tree. And the little kid was like, Mama, Mama, while she was running towards Xerxes and Sharon. Oh. And she was like, Mama and Oni-chan. And you're like, well, what? Who is she calling Mama, and who's she calling Oni-chan or whatever? And then, Xerxes gets out of the mirror and he kills the Cheshire, or he doesn't kill the Cheshire cat, but he cuts off both his arms, and
he beats him within an inch of his life.
Yeah, and he's about to fucking kill him, and then he's like, "Fuck you, cat," and gets out of there.
God, he fucking hates this cat, dude. Like, goddamn.
And I wish I could have seen that.
He fucking hated this cat, dude.
it sounds more exciting than it was, but when it was happening, I was like, man, I feel bad for this cat.
I did too. Like the whole time, I was like, dude, this cat is just living for his master, and Xerxes is just fucking with him. Like he won't even kill him. He leaves him alive just enough to continue toying with him.
Now, Xerxes' stand, the Mad Hatter, its ability is that it can destroy anything from the abyss. I don't remember if we mentioned that earlier or not, but
No,
I'm
we
mentioning it
haven't.
now. So, he could have killed this thing whenever he wanted to, but no, he just cut off an arm, and then he cut
He
off
could've
another arm,
one-hit
and he
KO'd
just
it.
fucking beat him. He just kept beating him. And around this time, when all this stuff inside Alice's created universe is happening, you see Vincent showing up at a Pandora meeting and having a chess game with Uncle Oscar because he's like, "You're a cool guy, right, Oscar?" And around this time, it's revealed to you that nobody in the Pandora organization actually knows that Oz is out of the abyss. So it's just a little secret between like this small group of people.
Between Sharon, Raven, and Break.
Yeah. So he starts doing stuff, and you don't know exactly what Vincent starts doing until when Oz gets to the top of the stairs and he gets Alice. All of a sudden, the unicorn shows up, and they're like, "What? What are you doing? No, wait, Raven and Xerxes aren't here yet." And then she just teleports them out of there anyway, and you're like, "Well, I guess these guys are fucking dead.
Yeah.
I guess they're gonna stay inside this universe." Somehow they got out. I don't think it's really explained.
They don't even, they don't even explain
They don't even
it.
explain it. They just get out. And what happens was Sharon teleported these guys to the center of this board meeting that all of the Pandora agents and the four dukedoms were having.
Yeah.
And they're just like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And and you're like, "Oh no, shenanigans." During this time, like I said, somehow by some magical way, Xerxes and Raven escape, and Xerxes is like, "Oh no, they found out that Oz is actually out of the thing." But it seems like it's a distraction. I'm gonna go look for Sharon because it's kind of weird that she just teleported them, not me. And that's when you find out that Sharon's been kidnapped, and he starts looking for her. And the only thing that they brought back with them was this bell, which was a relic of Alice's memory, which in the end you find out doesn't really matter because Alice already figured out that she was dead anyway, so it was just like kind of nothing.
Yeah.
So it was redundant for that one specific item.
Yeah, and the person that kidnapped Sharon was Vincent, and she poisoned her. Along with, for some reason, she also poisoned. Vincent also poisoned his little lolly.
Yeah,
his
I
little
don't.
lolly Echo.
He just did it to do it.
And you got some blushing and panting, your favorites.
Yeah.
And he was like, you have a time limit to give me what I want, and what I want is that bell. And if you give me that bell, I'll give you this antidote. And if you don't, I'm just gonna throw it and drop it. And then he he gets the antidote, puts it in his mouth, and then kisses his little lolly because why not, right?
That's how
He
you.
was just showing that it was a real poison. So he kisses her, gives her the antidote. Because before that, he was just kind of dropping it on her face, and he kept missing. So I guess he was like, "All right, well, I'm just gonna fucking give
fuck
it to
it.
her manually."
Fuck it, right?
Yeah.
So-
Because this maid girl is like his pet essentially.
Who knows what she is? It's also never
We
explained.
don't. Yeah, it's never explained.
So he gives Vincent the bell, and then Vincent is like, "Haha, I tricked you," and he's about to like he lets go of the vial over a balcony, but his little lolly catches it, and Vincent's like,
Wait, no. He doesn't give him the bell. He
He destroys
destroys it. He tells him like, "You have Mad Hatter. You fucking destroy the bell because I don't want anyone finding
"Oh yeah,
the
close
secret."
enough."
Yeah, he's like, she can't know the secret, and so he's like, destroy it. And then Sharon's like, "Nah, don't do it. Just let me die." And he's like, "No.
No,
I gotta
I'm
destroy it."
doing. And then Sharon was like, "Why did you destroy the bell? Why did you do it all for me?" And he was like, "I didn't do it for you. I did it for myself because if you died, I'd be sad."
Oh.
Which is in the end is a moral of this anime. You know, you take advantage of other people so they can take advantage of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not only that, but he also seemed the type that was just kind of like he doesn't want to admit to anything because he's still trying to be the hardened whatever the fuck he is.
Yeah. Whatever the fuck he is.
It's some old ass bitch. That's what he is.
He was a knight at one point, but we'll get to that. So after he destroys the bell and they find Sharon, nothing really happens with the Pandora agents. They're just like, okay, I guess he's out now. And then, shit, Juan, what happens after that?
They pin Oz and Alice, which is now B Rabbit, on some staircases. And then that's when Jack appears, and Jack steals Oz's body.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's revealed that Jack has been inside Oz's body, maybe not this whole time,
And maybe a little bit sexually, but
maybe a little bit sexually, maybe mostly sexually than metaphorically. But he can take Oz's control of Oz's body, not at will, but whenever he can, I guess. And he tells them, "Take care of this boy, or else bad stuff is gonna happen again." Basically, that's what happens, and everyone's like, "Okay, we'll do that.
We'll get right on it.
We'll get right on that. Thank you, man." Inside this little boy's body. Anime.
oh god! And then nothing happens.
I think around this point it is what, like 19?
Yeah, something like
18,
that.
18, 19, something like that. And you're like, man, I'm almost going to be on episode 20. I wonder how they're going to wrap this story up in 5 episodes. And much like Claymore, I felt in the exact same way that I did when I was watching Claymore, to where I was like, man, there's a bunch of loose ends here. How are they going to tie all those ends together?
Rocky is here somewhere.
Rocky's here somewhere.
Dude, fuck Rocky.
And
Seriously, fuck Rocky.
The only real thing that you find out is that Xerxes had a contract with 2 different chains. One of those chains was illegal, and it happened 50 years ago, and he was serving as a knight for a royal family who was all murdered by burglars while he was away. And when he came back, that's when he made the chain. But the only surviving member of their family was this little girl who told him not to go. And you find out his real name is Kevin something. Kevin.
Fucking Kevin.
Such a plain ass name, Kevin.
Yeah.
Dude, why do you think he renamed himself to something cool, dude? His name is fucking Kevin. Do you want to be called that? Like, if you're one of the main characters? Like, oh yeah, we got fucking like these crazy ass names, and then we got Kevin over here. Like, you can't do that, dude. You gotta give yourself a cool name.
The most relatable character.
Kevin Kun.
Kevin's son. Kevin with his fucking destructive ass stand.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But you find out that he made a contract with this chain, and he went on a rampage and killed hundreds of people. And in the end, he was dragged down to the bottomless, deepest depths of the abyss, where Oz was taken to in the very beginning of the series, where Alice was the one with the white dress.
Yeah, because another thing that I wanted to add to that was that, like, they alluded to the fact that there are levels of the abyss, and that it also depends on the person, like how it looks.
Yeah.
Because when Xerxes talked to him, he explicitly asked him, like, what did you see when you went into the abyss? He's like, did you see everything lying in ruins? Did you see this or that? Or did you see it that looked like a broken toy box scattered? Yeah, like scattered all over the place. And like, he was asking him because, like, I guess, like I said, like the thing depends entirely on, I guess, like your perspective and how far down you landed.
Yeah. So you find out Xerxes did that. He made the deal. He killed hundreds of people. He gets dragged down to the abyss, where he meets Alice, and Alice is like, "Oh, cool! Look, a guy." and then his chain shows up, and he's like, "Hey, look, it's me." And Alice is like, "Hey, look, it's you." And and Xerxes is like, "Dude, grant my wish." And she's like, "I like your eye. I'm gonna take your eye out, and I'm gonna put it in my cat." which is why Xerxes has so much hate towards the Cheshire Cat.
Cheshire Cat, because the Cheshire Cat has his other eye.
Yeah.
And so when he sees this cat later on or like earlier in the series in this alternate world, like all he's thinking about is the fact that Alice fucking ripped
Tore
his
his
eye
eye
out
out.
and then handed it to a fucking cat. And so like it all makes sense at that point, and I
Yeah.
stopped caring about the cat at that point, because like before I was like, dude, he
did
was just
nothing
toying
wrong.
with that cat. Yeah, and then you're like, oh, he stole his eye. All right, I'd be pissed too. So yeah, it all makes sense as to why he was fucking with that cat.
So he gives the cat his eye, and then he, in like a fit of rage, he like pushes or hits or like tries to stab Alice. But then Alice, like, his chain was like, "Don't you touch her. She is, the will of the abyss. I'm gonna kill you if you fucking touch her." And then Alice kills his chain for some reason. I don't exactly remember why.
In the most distorted face I've ever seen. Like, eyes were like pointing in different directions.
Yeah.
Full on autism.
And then all of a sudden, somewhere in this little story, you see Vincent show up, a little kid Vincent, from 100 years ago, because you also learn that Vincent is probably at least 100 years old. Gilbert is probably at least 100 years old. Alice is probably at least 100 years old. And
Sharon
Jack
too.
no, you don't know anything about Sharon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't. She's the mystery unicorn.
She's a mystery unicorn. She's a special unicorn. But they show up, and Vincent is like, "I did it. I finally opened the portal to the abyss all by myself," and blah, blah, blah. And then Alice is like, "Why are you here? You're not supposed to be here." And then she starts going crazy, and the world starts crumbling. And then Xerxes is like, "Grant my wish, ho." Like, dude.
Like he's
fucking
just standing
do it.
there the whole time, like, give me my fucking wish.
Covering his eye socket.
Covering-
Yeah,
Yeah.
covering his eye socket, and then she's like, "Will you do it? Will you grant my wish?" And I guess instantly, she turns the tables on him and like actually granted his wish. But it turns out, you know how we said that time was distorted in the abyss. Well, it turns out Xerxes / Kevin was
Fucking
Kevin comes out 30 years after he had been sucked into the abyss, and in those 30 years, the burglars didn't actually kill his family. Like, everybody was okay because they ended up fending him off. But then you find out that it was actually a rival family that destroyed that killed his the people that he served. So in the end, they died anyway. And instead of leaving that little girl alive with the burglars, he ended up killing her as well because he wanted them to live that attack, and they got wiped out a different way.
Yeah.
And they never really explain when he gets the Mad Hatter. And
They don't okay, because there's this other thing where like there's regular contractors and then there's illegal contractors. Illegal contractors are people who wound up in the abyss or like run into like one of the abyss creatures, and they're like, "Hey, form a contract." They're like, "Okay." And then there's this other way where this organization Pandora is like, "Oh, we know this special way to contract with the abyss monsters that we won't end up with that fucking ticking clock of death." And you assume that like they like explain it a few episodes after initially like introducing that method, but no, they don't tell you anything about this special method. They don't tell you anything about how any of these regular or like legal contractors like even found their beasts.
No.
Because I mean, I'm pretty like interested as to how the fuck he found Mad Hatter in the first place and
Yeah, so
managed to
am I.
contract him.
But they don't tell you. The only things that you do know is that there are 4 dukedoms, And in these 4 dukedoms, each of them have a chain. One of them is a Gryffindor. One of them is a Raven. One of them is a unicorn. And one of them is a whatever the fuck is the basketball.
Oh yeah, basketball.
Whatever the basketball one is, which I don't think they ever show.
No.
As far as I know.
Well, we're going with this pattern. It's probably gonna be a snake.
More than likely, it'll be a snake.
Yeah,
Well-
it's a snake.
Well, yeah, maybe Slytherin, but Baskerville, if they're referencing the Shakespeare or not Shakespeare, Sherlock, maybe it's a hellhound.
It
That'd
could
be
be.
cool.
I mean, yeah. We'll have to read the manga.
We'll have to read the manga. I mean, Rainsworth doesn't sound like a unicorn to me, but
But
but I dig the unicorn.
But wait, I thought the name was Equus, which means horse in Latin.
Equus. You mean
Equus. For the unicorn.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
I didn't. I thought since you were going with their last name, I was also going with Sharon's last name.
Well, yeah, but the chains also have names.
Nah, fuck them. They don't care. They don't matter. So you get, that little tidbit of information. So you know that they in the show they said 50 years. And so you assume that Xerxes is at least 50 years old. But then why did Vincent and them show up if this was only 50 years ago when this happened, when the tragedy of blah 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 was 100 years ago? So that raises even more questions as to how did Xerxes see them if it was explained that this happened to him 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And the events happened 100 years ago, and you're just like, well, whatever. It'll be explained later. And it never gets explained.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
I mean, I guess you could just throw all the answers into the abyss being the abyss. Maybe it's not just time is just slower. Maybe it is completely distorted in that people could be there simultaneously at different time periods or
Now,
something.
listen, Mike, I don't need you making excuses for them.
Dark Souls logic.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, they may as well have not even talked about the time skips, considering. I mean, I don't know.
Then, after you get thrown that tidbit of information, what else? What else is there? I don't really
Nothing
think there's
happens.
anything else. Nothing happens.
There's not really much.
Then
I didn't
they-
see anything
then they
past
start-
episode 14.
Then they start heading towards the ending, and you're like, okay, what's gonna happen? And they're like, all right, let's go back to that castle that we went to originally, but this time there isn't gonna be a chain in there or whatever. We're just gonna go in there and we're gonna find all the answers. Maybe Alice is gonna find all her memories or whatever. This whole time, for 2 episodes, Oz asked Gilbert, "Hey Gilbert, back then, why'd you let me stab you in the chest?" Because I forgot to mention in the beginning that during his quinceañera, Gilbert gained control of his body again, and he saw the face of the hooded figure that was trying to send Oz into the abyss. And he stood in front of him and he said, "Oz, no, that's your..." And then he gets stabbed across, his body, or he gets struck across his body with the sword. And Oz is like, "Oh no, I hurt my best friend." But, you would assume that it was his dad. And
Yeah.
for 23 episodes, they don't tell you. And, they don't bring it up until, the 24th episode, I think. Where he's like, "Yeah, it was your dad."
No, not. What was it? Or was it the very last? No, it was.
it might
it
have
was
been
the 24th episode.
24th or 25th. It
Yeah.
took them so fucking long for nothing.
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, I guess they're like, "Oh, we got to build up dramatic tension," but I mean, you can't build up tension when you're refusing to even acknowledge that an event occurred.
Yeah.
Say dramatic tension again, Mike.
Dramatic tension.
All right, I'll edit that in. Anyway,
What?
don't worry about it, Mike.
Oz has daddy issues.
Oz
Oz has
has
daddy issues.
father issues.
Yeah, it's revealed earlier also that Oz was an unwanted child and his dad fucking hates him.
Yeah.
And it's reaffirmed after Gilbert asked his dad to his face, and Oz is in the back, and he's like, "I don't fucking want that kid." And then Oz is
But
like,
it was
"My
all
feelings."
according to Keikaku.
So many Keikakus.
So they finally get to the the quinceañera spot where everything started, and you know what happens? A
Nothing.
bunch of chains are destroying the capital of the city. A bunch of chains show up, and they're like, "Why are there so many chains?" And they're all low-level chains, and they're like, "The abyss is screaming or something," or
Two chains.
something. And then they don't even go inside of the castle. They just walk up some stairs, and they're like, "The capital is on fire. Let's go to the capital." And then they go to the capital and they fight all the monsters. And Oz is like, "I want to go see my father, even though you guys told me that he was dead." So after they fight all the monsters, and at one point a fucking dragon with like people hands appears.
It was a
What the
Jabberwocky.
hell?
It was a Jabberwocky.
It was a Jabberwocky from Alice in Wonderland.
It was a Jabberwocky. I'll be honest, Juan.
Oh,
Like I skipped, and it got to that part because I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm already
I'm done
tapping
with
out.
this anime.
And then I saw that, and I was like, well, I guess I'll watch this. And I did that for nothing because
Nothing
happens. Nothing fucking happens.
Just the Jabberwocky appears and nothing happens.
Nothing happens. It gets destroyed. You know why? Because it's revealed that Oz has the power to control the abyss because of love. Because Alice, I forgot to also mention. It turns out that there are two sides of Alice. Whether that means it literally or metaphorically, that's up to you because it wasn't really explained.
They don't explain anything.
No.
And it was like one of them is the one that we have here, and the other one is the Wheel of the Abyss or whatever. And they can like change between. They used to be able to like take each other's place, but now they can't. And
Yeah.
they each have feelings.
I think it's
for-
because she escaped with Oz.
Yeah.
Like they're no longer interchangeable.
Yeah. So they both have feelings for Jack and probably Oz, who is possibly the reincarnation of Jack. But, that's also not explained because he's like, "I'm myself," but
Yeah.
whatever.
But he most likely is, in fact, the reincarnation of Jack
Yeah, and because of that, he has the power to control the abyss
as a whole.
as a whole. Like anything, he can do anything with anything from the abyss, whether it be a monster and whatever. He can.
Or
he's-
Alice herself.
He's One Punch Man.
He is.
He has a power. He has everything he needs in the palm of his hands. And then the last episode happens, and nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
They get to they find out where the hideout for the Baskerville clan is, and it turns out, guess where? In the location of the tragedy that happened 100 years ago, which
Yeah.
was I don't remember the name of the city.
Sabri.
Sabri.
Well, they renamed it to Saberly, but it's actually Sabri or Sabriel
Sabriel.
or Sabri or Sabri.
Well, whatever. It turns out it's there, and they were there the whole time. And then they show up there, and three of the hooded people are like, "We've been waiting for you," and then they run away, and the what's their last name again? The Vesalius chain shows up, and you're like, all right, time for a fight. And then Oz one punches him and destroys him in one punch, and everybody's like, he destroyed him in one punch, and you're like, yes, I saw.
He's like, "Fuck you, Dad."
And you see his dad on the top of a building, and he tells him, "Dad, fuck you. I'm not useless. I exist. I don't need you. I'm my own man." but you're still, you might be my dad, but you suck. And then he turns around and you see that he wasn't talking to anything, and it was all metaphorical, and you're like, well, that's it.
Okay.
That's the anime.
There we go. He
Ooh.
overcame his daddy issues.
Ooh, he did it.
Whoa.
And
Man.
boy, was I not angry and not sad. I was just like, okay,
Thank God.
That was a
okay,
thing.
that was a thing.
Thank God it's over.
It's not Claymore, at least. That's
And
what I
anything that's
told
not
myself.
Claymore is a win.
Yeah.
All
All right.
So yeah.
So this anime has amazing music, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
all of you.
It was good music. It had good music. I agree. Yes, it
I
had
know.
the battle music was very good. The opening was pretty good, or was very good. The ending was decent.
I could leave.
Take it or
I
leave
could
it.
no.
It
I could
was-
leave.
it
I'll
was-
leave the ending, especially.
It was-
I don't think you got to the second ending. I'll fucking drop that
Oh, I
second
didn't.
ending
I
on its
didn't.
head.
I actually stopped listening to the ending after a while because I thought it stayed the same. Actually,
No,
the opening
that
stays the same, right?
the openings stay the same. It's the best.
yeah, the opening was really good, and like that, like I said, the BM music scenes were really good. I liked it.
So all the budget went to the music, and that's why the anime is low quality.
Yeah.
I think it was
Well-
more that it's just that like nobody
That was the
really
standard at the
bothered
time,
to. It was no around that time was the transition.
Yeah, it was like a
between
weird
480 and
transitional
720.
point, but there should be Blu-rays of this. I'm pretty sure there are Blu-rays of this, and I would check if Hulu has this anime, but I'm not going to make an account on Hulu because fuck them.
Yeah.
I've already done that enough times.
I think it's just like the Blu-rays are available, but nobody really watched this anime stateside, so they just didn't bother.
Yeah, probably, especially at that time. Because at
Yep.
that time, the only way, like, Crunchyroll wasn't as decent as it is now.
Well, at
And-
that point, Crunchyroll was still being considered like your average
Crunchyroll-
pirate anime site.
No, I remember around that time, I tried giving Crunchyroll a shot, and it fucking sucked. Like, the only thing that they had was a Stan Lee anime that I was interested in, and then I watched that, and I was like, this sucks.
Was it the Marvel one?
No, it wasn't a Marvel one. It was an original superhero. He was like this kid's, like,
Oh,
Whatever.
I know what you're talking. It was Captain something. or
probably.
Some shit. I know what you're talking about. That looked okay, but I was like, this looks like I wouldn't enjoy this very much.
Yeah. But,
I can't remember what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
All right, Noonie. I think it's time I ask the $1 million question that everybody wants to know.
what's that?
Who's the best character and who's the worst character?
All right.
They're all equally shitty.
I would know.
No,
I-
I like Gilbert.
I like Xerxes. I thought
I
Break
like
was a pretty cool guy.
Xerxes.
I liked Break because even when he was being funny, you could tell he was still like up to something. Like he was always fucking doing something underhanded, like constantly. And like I loved him ever since he had that first talk with Oz, where he was telling him like you really shouldn't trust this girl because she has secrets and stuff. And then fucking Oz looks right up at him and he's like, well, I mean, you have
you
more
have more
secrets
secrets
you're
than
keeping
her.
from me. And then he looks right back at him and smiles and he's like, you keep that mindset. And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like this guy.
The moment I liked him was like when he was like, "All right, I'll see you guys later." He gets in the fucking dresser.
Yeah, he climbs into the dresser and then he just fucking disappears. I was like, what the fuck? And they open it up and he's gone. It's like, how did he do it?
I gotta say, I like Gilbert because he's so chuny. Like he does that
Yeah.
thing where he puts his hand over his eye and he's like, "Dark Flame Master."
Or like, yeah, he starts like grabbing his wrist because he's like shivering. Because I know it's like a nervous tick. Like that's his thing because he freaks out because he's always like, I'm so useless. So he starts grabbing his wrist and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I gotta say,
he's okay.
I like the designs a lot more of the girls than I do their actual characters. When I say the
Yeah.
girls,
Yeah.
I guess I mean Alice and
Sharon and Ellis.
Echo, and Sharon's okay.
Sharon's just kind of
She's
there.
just
She's
kinda
very
there, yeah.
neutral. Yeah, she's very neutral. Alice was okay in some parts, but I felt like it went too heavy on the Sunderer kind of thing, where like
Yeah.
she'd immediately resort to like hitting people off the top of the head, and I was like,
Yeah.
classic anime. Because that was like, yeah,
Anime.
anime.
I mean,
They-
around this time, I don't think it was as horrible. It was like in the beginning of where it started getting bad.
Yeah, it was. No, I think this is when it started toning down. Rather, actually, like
Did it in 2009?
well, in the transition, like I meant, like I believe, because like it was worse, like even further back though, like the whole Sunder kind of thing, because people still don't know how to actually do a proper fucking Sundere, and they end up making him a total bitch and like never letting up, and then they'll give like one episode where they break down crying, and that's supposed to make up for them being a bitch the rest of the series and shit.
Nah, dude, you love Oremo.
No.
Nah, dude, fuck that, dude.
You love his sister.
Dude, okay, I love her design, but goddamn, do I fucking hate Kirino, dude? She's fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Kirino, bitch, dude.
Fuck. So none of us
But
have,
yeah.
have seen this before.
No.
Nope.
Would you recommend it?
Quite the experience.
Uh,
Now
No.
that I know how it ends, no.
Like towards the middle, I was actually interested in it, mostly because usually whenever I watch anything, I make my assumptions, and usually if the show, proves me wrong or does something that I don't expect, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll keep watching this because you're not being, typical.
Well, I mean, like, I like the show was decent enough. However, due to like, I guess like how the ending is, how some of the like characters acted, and just like some of the stuff that happened within the show, personally, I would not recommend it to other people. Like out of
Yeah.
personal taste, like it wouldn't be like, oh yeah, Mike recommended me that. Like I wouldn't do that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I said, near the beginning, I would have told you, yeah, dude, go watch this show. It's pretty cool. Like if this were an ongoing series, like most anime is, if it were like a week-to-week thing, I'd probably be like, just watch the first few episodes and then just catch up and watch it with me. But and seeing it all in one go, I'm like, no, don't watch this. It doesn't deserve this 4-star rating that it's getting here.
It got a 4-star?
Yeah,
what the
Oh my
fuck?
God.
don't worry about it.
Well, I mean, you have to understand that, like, I guess I'm not gonna say we're like special, but I'm gonna say like we're special in certain ways, but not the good ways.
Dude, my mom tells me every time.
Please, Mike. We are gentlemen of refined taste. here.
Yeah.
Some of
But,
my refined taste tastes like shit, but it's alright.
Like, I guess like your average entry level, which are like the people that are more likely to like go and rate this kind of stuff, or like I guess like be more social about it and things like that. They like this kind of stuff where it's like super anime-y, as in like the stereotypical shit. So they're kind of like, oh yeah, she's the funny girl that hits him on the head and eats a whole bunch.
God, I
It's so
hate
cool, sugoi.
The gag.
Sugoi, yes. And so like that's the kind of shit that like they look for and they see, and so they're like, ah, yes, this is the animes, all right.
Yeah,
Like with like, yeah.
like at the time of this recording, on my anime list, this has a 7.91, which is almost an 8. And on Anime Planet, it has a 4.1. So,
Oh, out of 5. Okay,
Yeah,
never
out of
mind. I was
5,
like, wait
yeah.
a minute. I was like 4. But no, yeah, like I said, I mean, this, I could see why people would enjoy this.
I could
I just
understand.
personally did not enjoy it to the extent that they did. They did.
I enjoyed it maybe to the extent to a certain point, and then I just started dropping off very quickly.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of nothing happening in here, and I feel like
Yeah.
it would be better if it was shorter,
Yeah.
and maybe they broke it down into seasons.
And I thought to myself, well, maybe these 9 specials that they released will explain some other stuff. But then I saw that they were DVD specials.
Yeah,
And they were only 4 minutes long, and then that's when I realized, oh no, nothing happens.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just the mangas. Because, like, I mean, a lot of anime is just like advertisement to go and read the manga or the
Yeah,
light novel.
and
So
is one
this
of
was
those.
definitely one of those.
This is also one of those that unfortunately suffers from the manga isn't done yet, but we're doing an anime anyway.
No.
Yeah. I always hate it when it's like that because then it leaves the director to come up with an ending, and more often than not they don't know what they're doing.
Or they
And
don't, like
so
this one, which I'm okay with, because I would rather this than Claymore.
yes.
Which,
We didn't
also
get
I
a
guess
power
didn't
of
have a...
friendship hug, so
No. We just got hey, look, this is stupid. And you're like, yeah, this is stupid. Because the manga went on from 2006 to 2015.
Oh,
Damn.
shit.
Yeah, that shit didn't end for a while. And this was just, 25 episodes in 2009.
yeah.
The poor thing.
I mean, I've seen plenty of shows that are just they're the same. They suffer from the same problem,
Yeah. All right.
like Drifters. But
oh,
yeah,
Drifters. I've
Drifters,
heard
Drifters,
stuff about
Drifters.
Drifters.
Yes, stuff is indeed the problem with Drifters. And the
that
lack
there are
thereof.
none of it.
The stuff and the lack thereof is but we'll get more in depth in that whenever the roulette spins on it.
You actually have that on here?
No,
You
I'm
should- no, I don't think it is.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking of
We'll
making
put it
a
on
You guys
there
are
at some
saying-
point.
I'm thinking of making a 3-year rule because like I would like somebody to have watched it, and I would like them to have had like time away from the stuff that we watched, to the point where they can go back and be like, you know what, I guess this did suck. Which is what I'm hoping that most of these, or I'm hoping most of these are not, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll get down to it. What would you guys rate this?
6.5 out of 10.
No, give me a 5, Mike. Give me an out of
Nah.
5.
Nah, dude. Oh, out of 5.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
How many,
a 3.25.
dude? How many big meat in little girl's mouth would you give this?
3.
I'd say yeah, 3.25, dude. Seriously, like it was decent. It was watchable. It wasn't unwatchable, and at times it did get a chuckle out of me, which is very hard unless I'm watching Konosuba.
Hey, we never went over that episode 8 moment, Noonie.
All right.
Oh,
So
yeah,
here's
so
what
give
happens.
Here's what happens in episode 8.
It was a super serious moment. He just finished popping out from the fucking cupboard. No, this was before he got in the cupboard, I think, or popped out from the cupboard.
Is it when he jumped or when he slid out from the bed?
I don't. Yes, I think so. I
fucking...
I don't remember exactly where it was. I just know that it was like they were setting this super serious tone, and Xerxes was looking at him, and he was like, "I can't tell where you are. Tell me what you. Tell me where you are. What
He's
are you
like,
doing
I
right
can't
now?
see.
I can't see where you are right now
from this foggy eye of mine, or
And-
something, or from this hazy eye of
And
mine.
then Alice starts coming up, and she's like, "You idiot! You must be fucking blind." And I thought she was gonna do this amazing like
metaphorical
anecdote, and,
speech.
and be fucking amazing. And she's like, "He's right here. What are you talking about?" And it was the stupidest fucking bullshit. I fucking loved it.
It was.
but-
I think the thing is, I think she was trying to go for that, but she didn't know what to say, so she just said that.
right here.
Because like immediately right after, he was just staring at her, and she's like, "You're fucking laughing at me, aren't you?" He's like, "Yeah." Yeah, like I remember that because like he was telling him like, "You're fucking broken on the inside." He was telling him, and then she jumps in with that to relieve the tension. And like, yeah, I think her initial intention was to come up with something, like just say something at the spur of the moment to break him out of that. But she fucked up really badly and instead says something fucking stupid.
Nah, Mike, she's just fucking stupid. I love her.
I mean, she is stupid in general, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, she is.
She's
Yeah.
just fucking dumb.
If I ever see a figure of her, I might buy it. I like that design.
I would consider buying it. I like her design. Her outfit is cute. I like it.
I mean, most of their outfits are pretty cool.
Yeah, they're
Raven's,
good. I
Raven's
like them.
outfit's pretty cool also.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention the subplot of Raven and Oz's sister maybe being with each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'd give this a 3.5. It might be a little high, but yeah. Why,
Yeah, I say 3.25. So
yeah, almost, you know. I wouldn't give it a 4, no. Nowhere near a 4. But
I'm just glad Gabe's not here to get mad about decimals.
4 is being too generous, man. I'm gonna stick with a solid 3.
All right. So
He's
3,
giving it a
3.25, and a 3.5, which averages out to about a 3, which is about right. Yeah, it's about right.
Yeah.
Above average, maybe actually average.
It's average. But the thing is, by no means does average mean terrible.
No.
And like I feel that's like a problem nowadays where like if you rate something average, people automatically like think that you're like calling it shit or something. And I have no idea why.
That would be like saying mediocre.
Yeah, and it's like when I say something is average, I'm not saying oh it was fucking horrible, I couldn't watch it. I'm be like it's just average.
It's okay.
It's okay, like that's it. But like people take it up the ass when you call stuff average nowadays.
Much like this anime, wish that it could give Gil and Oz a little room so they could take it up the ass.
But
It's
is
a long
there
setup
really?
for a joke, but there was very. I mean, at least to me, watching it by myself,
I felt like there was a little bit of
sexual tension.
a little
yes.
bit.
Was there? I didn't feel it.
Yes,
I guess
I
because
did.
I guess I was expecting Kara's levels of
Sexual tension.
No, that was a whole other level, dude. And that scene only lasted like 5 minutes, and that was like they were like ready to face fuck each other. Like
No, this is sprinkled throughout the show.
What is that?
it's a show we watched during one of our fillers. It's a
It's a 6
magic
episode OVA.
armor suits, and yeah, they can turn into jets. And
Okay.
there's a scene where the main character has a flashback with this like this guy kid he was in charge of taking care of. The sexual
Much like
tension
this.
was so fucking heavy, dude. Like I kept thinking like they really want to fuck. Like
Yeah.
it was very heavy sexual tension.
Yeah, Juan, come on. Unleash your inner Fujoshi and
Yeah.
recognize the sexual
No, you
tension.
need to see it, Danny, and you will know. You will know. Also, Karis
Yeah.
looks really nice, so you should give it a shot. But yeah.
You should
Get
give
over
a
it. Fuck, Mike.
What?
Just suck his dick already. Damn.
Dude, it looks good. Fuck you, dude.
Anyway, so I was thinking of keeping these homosexual undertones with our next anime, or did you guys want to do the random thing? Because
What was the next one?
we didn't pick it. I was gonna suggest that we do Black Butler. So you can give your brother the benefit
I
of
can
the
have
doubt.
him. I can have him come in and give his piece on Black Butler so that he can defend it. Either that or say that he never watched it. I don't know what he'll say, but
This gay train is going strong.
Skate train is going strong. Or I can just put in the numbers and I could do it randomly. It's up to you guys.
what do you feel like, Noonie? What is your desire, Noonie?
I desire many things, Mike. Many things
What
I
do you
can't
desire?
be. Well, what do I desire currently? I desire us not getting one of these fucking 50 episode shows that are on here.
Why do you have those?
Because we're dumb and we forget to get rid of them.
No, I want to do them eventually, but I want to do it in a 4-week span and do like
Listen, Noonie, we're not gonna finish Monster in the span of a week.
no, that's what I said. 4 weeks.
I mean, yeah,
in a 4-week span, and then in between we'll just do like a 1 or 2 episode OVA thing,
Well,
which
do
exists.
the roulette, I guess.
Yeah, keep
All
it
right.
around.
And we'll see.
All right,
You
we'll
need
see.
to talk to your brother for a bit first.
It's
So.
gonna... All right,
You're
so
like, I know it's gonna sound weird, but
oh shit.
he's gonna talk about your experience.
Speaking of homosexual undertones, we got Death Note, guys.
Oh
No.
boy,
Yeah,
cool.
I'm
Alright.
finally gonna finish this thing. Should I actually finish this thing?
Have you never finished Death Note?
No, why would I?
Because it's a decent show.
After
Is it?
episode 12.
Yeah, it's a decent show.
I mean,
Sure.
it started off
Well,
decent.
Okay, look, the ending was fucking hilarious in my opinion. Okay, like
yeah, it
the
was.
final episode by no means was like good in a like story wise sense, but goddamn was it entertaining
It
to
was
watch.
tragically hilarious.
It was fucking funny, and I think that you should see it just to experience the end of Death Note.
Okay. Well, this one's
Right,
37
balls,
episodes actually.
Yeah.
Which
Death Note?
Yeah.
I don't remember it being that long. I thought it was like 12
I
episodes.
thought it was like maybe
Fuck
24.
no, it wasn't 20.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you guys.
I mean,
are
I'll
fucking
give it
crazy.
another shot. I'll go, but yeah, let's do the Death Notes.
You
Let's
guys
do
are
the
gonna invite me to
Netflix.
this shit again for a while, so
All right,
That's
Danny.
what I'm
We'll
saying.
invite you whenever we do Death Note. I feel like this should be one of those special ones where we actually take a bit of time, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and we'll discuss whatever we'll do in between.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll all talk about it in between, but we'll
Okay.
see whenever Death Note comes out.
Oh, so wait, what are we doing right now?
Death Note, but
but
that's
he's
not
talking
until
about the
later.
actual podcast.
Whoa.
Oh, okay, yeah, in the next one. Okay, you had me confused. I was okay. I get it.
Because Death
I
Note
got it.
is a little bit longer than your typical 25 or whatever episodes. We'll take a little bit more time with it. And
It's
just
3/4.
and 3/4. And we'll just do like a little OVA or something for the actual next one that's in 2 weeks. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about
Yeah.
it. But that is the podcast for now.
Yes.
I'll see how the fuck I splice this shit together.
It's gonna be fun for Noonie.
It'll be fun
Yes,
for
it
me.
is. It's
And
been about 2 hours.
it's it might be at about 2 hours. But if you guys want to reach us in any way possible, you can email us at mbtpodcast@gmail.com. I'm sure it said podcast, but I meant podcast. But you guys get it. And you can follow us on Facebook on facebook.com/MBT podcast. On the Twitters, we are Magical Broadcast. And I'll provide the links to this anime and our list and the stuff that we've already reviewed on the podcast in the description below. But I really hope this was episode 12. If not, I'll change the beginning. And we'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.